Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weird and wonderful world, and this is the second part to my eclectic collection. And as you'll see, it gets even more wild. It'll go from one side of the spectrum way over to the other side of the spectrum. And let's get started. Of course, you can't have a collection without having some Michael Jackson. I love Thriller. I have another album of him called Ecstasy, which is not bad. Actually, I really like it. I wouldn't mind getting some more Michael Jackson because he is a legend of the 80s and that. So I have that. I have an album of Cheap Trick, which I actually really like. Of course, it's the Lap of Luxury album, which is good. I need to get more Cheap Trick too. I have two albums of the Crash Test Dummies. There's a couple more I might want to get, but these are the essentials for sure. I do love these albums. I have an album of the Grapes of Wrath, and I love this album. In fact, I played this album too a few times in the last year because I love the whole flow of it. I love the three first songs mostly, but the whole thing is decent for me. I really love it. Changing gears a little bit, I have a Propeller Head. Yes, I have Moby. Of course, like these, well, only one album of Propeller Heads, and I have this for one song in particular, but I do like the whole thing. The song that I like on this is "History Repeating," featuring Shirley Bassey, Miss Shirley Bassey, and of course, you gotta have Moby play because that is an essential. I have this of Spin Doctors, which I really really love. I have Gowan, Strange Animal, because this was a major album in my youth, and I do actually love this whole album. I need more of this band, but this is one I have absolutely because it has Losing My Religion, has Shiny Happy People. So this was a must-have when I saw that. I had to get this. Now again, to change completely gears, and I have at least 10 or so albums of this band, and that would be Insane Clown Posse. I do have only like one album of Twisted, if you're talking about the Psychopathic Records label, which Twisted is no longer in their company. Well, it's a history, but I still have one of those. Now going into some heavy metal, and I'll show you these. These are the only two albums I have of Slayer for now. I do need more of Slayer. But of course, I have Metallica. I have Anthrax. I haven't presented Metallica on my Most CD Culture Show and Tell yet, but I will eventually. I am missing a couple essentials that I need to get before I present it. Because yeah, I'm kind of sad that I don't have a couple of essential albums from Metallica, but I will get to them. And so now again to go, okay, talking about thrash metal and stuff. I also have some Ozzy. I have one CD of Testament. I have maybe two CDs of Megadeth. Of course, I have Iron Maiden. I have Headstones. I have Disturbed. I have Pantera. Basically, one album each of that. I have an album of Accept. I have a box set of Quiet Riot, which I have presented on my Most CD Culture Show and Tell. And I have a Slade, of course, because you can't have a Quiet Riot collection without having a Slade Greatest Hits. And also other stuff I have in my collection that I may have mentioned before. That's a little bit of a different curve. I have some Franz Ferdinand, which I presented on my Most CD Culture Show and Tell. I have the Bob Mole stuff like Sugar. I have all the Sugar. I have most of his solo stuff, and I have two albums of Husker Du for that. I have Matthew Sweet, of course, which is I'm really trying to get Larry Graves into at the moment. I think he would love that. I have And yeah, and of course, I cannot forget Sparks. I do have some Sparks, which I rave about lately because I think they're fantastic, and I wish certain people that I know would get in. Now, going on a different side of the spectrum of again going from one extreme to the next, I want to present. I have a couple of jazz, well, basically jazz Burning for Buddy. It's tributes to Buddy Rich. These were produced by Neil Peart, and it's basically all these different bands doing these cool covers of Buddy Rich songs, which I need to listen to eventually. I've only played them once each, but I still really like them. Now you can't go into classic stuff without talking about the fabulous Rat Pack. It's a 2 CD collection of their most cherished hits, and that's of course with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and what's his name? I'm drawing a blank, but I know who it is, but I can't think of it offhand right now. But yeah, I do actually like this. And so I have some chart toppers, like 40 of, and this is 40 classic stuff from the 50s and 50s and 60s, and maybe into the 70s. No, it's all 50s and 60s greatest hits. And of course, I have more of that kind of stuff. I have a whole different collection of greatest, like a compilations of stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s. I have a couple of collections of big shiny tunes. I have Frosh, some stuff from Frosh. Yeah, I do have a bit of a collection of stuff like that, like some good old fashioned rock and roll. I have presented on my channel before some instrumental stuff from what was it? Just yeah, you can go back and watch. There's so much music that I have, and I also have some stuff from the Beach Boys, of course. This is the last but not least that I'm showing here on this channel. I have a couple of collections. I need to get more of their studio albums, but this is a great start because it has so many of their greatest hits and stuff on, like stuff that's not on this will be definitely on this, and vice versa. So I want all, like most of the best stuff from the Beach Boys that I can get. Now I didn't even mention at all that I have some Joe Satriani. I have Steve Vai. I have Yngwie Malmsteen. I have David Lee Roth. I don't have any Van Halen stuff, and I need to fix that. But I have a couple of David Lee Roth solo stuff, just the stuff that has Steve Vai playing for him at the time. I have a band called Prong. I have the Black Keys. I have a couple of the Raconteurs with Jack White, and I have some Beatles stuff. I have so many different albums. I didn't even mention my Nirvana. I have Nirvana. I have ZZ Top. I have some Aerosmith. I have a couple of albums of Tom Petty. I do have some Guns N' Roses. I have an album of, I have two albums of the Darkness. I have an Alice Cooper. I also have his I have Killer. I have an Alice Cooper's greatest hits, and I have Hollywood Vampire. I have a greatest hits of Budgie. I have a greatest hits of Molly Hatchet. I have some Twisted Sister. A greatest hits of Twisted Sister, Helix. I have an album of Fu Manchu. Yeah, I have the Doors, of course. I have all 6 of the great albums from the Doors. I have Gorillaz. I have Blur. I have Cake. I have 5 albums of Cake. I'm just missing that first album of Cake. So I have so much stuff. I have the Ogre which I presented on my Most CD Culture Show and Tell. Just to name as much as I could from my collection of these are what I have. I didn't even mention that I have some Cat Stevens. I have 2 albums of Meatloaf. I have an album. I have 2 albums from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and so on and so forth. And speaking of, and my first episode, I have a Fiona Apple. What is that? Oh, I have an Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. I have so much. I just have so much stuff that it's hard to keep track of. And I didn't even mention Suzanne Vega. That I have Suzanne Vega, Belle and Sebastian. I have Kiss, of course. I have to have Kiss. I have all the early stuff, all the makeup stuff from the 70s and early 80s. That's on that poster back here that I put together. I have the Weird Al Yankovic. I have everything, as much as I can, of Rush. So that pretty much laid out all what I have in my eclectic collection. So I hope you enjoyed this little trip, and I probably will present some more of that stuff in more finer detail in upcoming episodes. Not right away. I still want to give you some more stories. Not just from my Montreal adventures, but from my childhood adventures, things I got into as a child. So there's going to be many episodes to come. It's a little difficult trying to find a cool subject, because I can just talk about anything, and I don't want to just talk about anything. I want to try to give you my enthusiasm of how I like just going through these. I was all excited, and because this music is such a fundamental part of my life. I can't express enough of how much music is so important to me. And if it's not important to you, then there's something wrong if you're not into music like that, because it soothes the soul. It's one of the probably the biggest source of my happiness, and it can make me happy even in the darkest of times. It's the thing that keeps me feeling human, and that's why I don't want the physical medium to disappear. I love having something physical to touch and hold and to be able to look at. Because humanity is, if we're not in contact, not just with CDs, but with people too. We need to be contacting people physically in real life, and not distancing ourselves and from what's essential, what's important in life. The fundamentals. And we need to promote more of the humanities. If you know what that means, we need to bring the humanities back to the forefront of what it is to be a human. It's essential to our well-being. And I'm going to say this one more time. I've said this a few times already in some past episodes. To never ever compromise your peace of mind for anything, because you will end up losing both. So having said all that, I'm going to let you go here, and I'm going to say, as always, please be safe, take care. I will see you on the flip side, and please have a great day, evening, night, wherever you may be. Peace, everyone.